Power. The ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially as a faculty or quality. The capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events. Power. To supply a device with mechanical or electrical energy. Power. To move or travel with great speed or force. Power. Daenerys Targaryen. What happens to all powers is that it fades. Eventually, all powers, all light, everything that burns so bright must die out, but not Daenerys. She will be reborn in the flames of a dragon. In this video, I'm going to discuss what would happen if Daenerys Targaryen were to be resurrected over in Volantis and came back to reconquer Westeros. Now, before we get started, please, if you are a Daenerys fan and you enjoy this video, slap a like on it. The like goal is going to be 420. Wiz Khalifa laughed. Also, make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on, so that way you'll get an alert every single time I drop a video throughout this long night. And a super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews. They are all listed right here. Now, I've made many of videos where I discuss the possibility of Daenerys returning for a Game of Thrones Season 9 or maybe some sort of spin-off movie or something. So in this video, I'm going to break it down into 3 separate parts: the how, the why, and the what. Now, the way that Daenerys would be resurrected is pretty simple. Most people saw Drogon fly off with her body, and we all know that people are able to come back from far more traumatic injuries than Daenerys. Jon Snow was stabbed several times, one of them being literally through the heart, and he was able to come back. Now, his body was kept on ice immediately, but one of the glorious things about having dragons is that they can traverse Planetos within literally a matter of hours. At least if we're going by the pacing of Game of Thrones Season 8. So Drogon immediately, in my mind, took Daenerys' body to the temple in Volantis. We know that the Red Priests are the ones who are responsible for resurrection in this story, and with Daenerys being chosen by Kinvara and the followers of R'hllor just before she left to Westeros, I'm positive that they would resurrect their savior. Just imagine going to a place where there's 30 or 40 Melisandres all sitting around wait to resurrect Daenerys. Obviously, they would do so, and they likely found out about her death before she even came back. I mean, they could see it in their flames. They would likely know about Daenerys' death before it even happened, and I wouldn't be surprised if they met up with Drogon somewhere while he's trying to cross the Narrow Sea and actually track him down and resurrect her body. Now, she of course could be in a situation that's similar to Lady Stoneheart, where she doesn't speak, because we do know that the longer that a corpse goes without being resurrected, the more damage it takes on. This is what happened to Lady Stoneheart when she was thrown in that river after having her throat slit at the Red Wedding. Lady Stoneheart, or Catelyn Stark, cannot speak because of the injuries she received upon her death. So a lot of people think that since Jon Snow was stabbed in the heart and he's gasping for air and he's actually slit across the throat, a lot of people say it's a flesh wound, but do me a favor and slice your throat and then try to tell me that it's a flesh wound while holding how much blood is gushing from your neck. But seriously, a lot of people think that Jon Snow will no longer have POV chapters, because if we're going by how George writes, when a character dies, even if they're brought back, they never have a POV chapter, or at least they've yet to have one. Judging by Lady Stoneheart not having a POV again, and Catelyn had them before she died, and we really only find out about her through the point of view of other characters, a lot of people think that Jon Snow may not be able to speak, or when he returns, he won't get a POV chapter. I wouldn't be surprised that if Daenerys were to die in the books and then be resurrected, maybe that's how she fully becomes the Mad Queen. Now, I know I said that I'm going to be breaking this down into 3 parts, but the how is pretty simple. Daenerys will have her body returned to the temple in Volantis with all those red priests and priestesses sitting around. I'm sure they saw in their flames that she would die. They would quickly resurrect her, and I think one of the first things she would do is, I'll discuss that in a second, but we have to realize that if Daenerys does in fact die and then is brought back, maybe this is how she becomes the Mad Queen. Now, a lot of people, and I've made a video on it myself, a lot of people think that if you go by her thoughts in her last few POV chapters in the Dance of Dragons, what happens to her and wins could force her into becoming a sort of a no bullshit taking, more like the men in this story, and will of course be labeled as the Mad Queen because of it. But just listening to some of her thoughts, I mean it's possible. I can kind of see why people came up with that theory. Just listen to it. Mother of dragons, Daenerys thought. Mother of monsters, what have I unleashed upon the world? A queen I am, but my throne is made of burned bones, and it rests on quicksand. I am the blood of the dragon, she thought. If they are monsters, then so am I. And it's not just Daenerys' internal monologue, all of her thoughts that she's having in her last few chapters. It's also quotes that other characters say about her that make people think that she will eventually become the Mad Queen. It doesn't help that her father was the Mad King, and everybody says that when a Targaryen is born, a coin is flipped, and if it lands one way, well then they're batshit insane, and if it lands another way, well then they could be a seriously good leader. With Daenerys, we've yet to sort of find out which way her coin has landed, but she has done some pretty tyrannical things in the past. Now, like I was mentioning, some of the other quotes about Daenerys, one comes from Tyrion to chapter 5 in A Dance with Dragons, and he's talking with Illyrio Mopatis, and he says, "This frightened child who sheltered in my manse died on the Dothraki Sea, and was reborn in blood and fire. This dragon queen who wears her name is a true Targaryen." And when you read quotes like that and you sort of take them out of context, well then you could easily formulate a theory about how Daenerys is going to turn bad. One of the ways that she may turn Mad Queen, and I'm doing that in quotes there if you even want to call it that, a lot of people get upset, myself too, when male writers don't necessarily know what to do with female characters, so they turn them into tyrants and they become this crazy villain. Well, George R. Martin, in my opinion, knows how to write some of the best female characters, and I don't necessarily think that's going to happen for Daenerys, but the foreshadowing is definitely there. But getting back on track to what I was saying about if you take certain quotes out of context, well, when Tyrion is learning about Daenerys, and we're learning about Daenerys as a reader, you know, aside from her point of view, and we're seeing how the outside world and the rest of Essos and Westeros sees her, she sounds like this crazy dragon queen who is this insanely beautiful warrior woman who just burns people left and right for no reason, no questions asked. When Tyrion actually meets her in A Dance with Dragons, in one of his last few chapters, he realizes that Daenerys is just a scared little girl, and she's building this crazy name for us, but we all know that, you know, there's no email, there's no text, so obviously all of the rumors about her are being spread by word of mouth. So it's interesting to see how Tyrion views Daenerys as this scared little girl that he's come to help, and him thinking this entire journey to get there is she's this scared little girl instead of this fierce dragon warrior queen that he thought she was. This is much like how if you were to take quotes out of context and just sort of skim through Daenerys' chapters and not really reread them enough to understand her journey, this is why people say, oh, she's going to become the Mad Queen. This is why Dan and Dave likely pushed her down the route that they did, because they didn't give their time enough story to unfold. They should have given us more than 6 episodes in season 8. They should have given us more than 7 episodes in season 7. We should have gotten a full 2 seasons, a full 2 last seasons. That's 10 episodes. If we had gotten that, we might have seen a complete journey of how Daenerys will become this Mad Queen. The thing is that the way Tyrion sees Daenerys is how we or the reader is meant to see Daenerys. Tyrion gets to see her for who she really is, and if he's to become her advisor and her aide in trying to conquer Westeros when she crosses the Narrow Sea eventually and wins a winter, or maybe even a Dream of Spring, well then it's good that he sees her at her most vulnerable self. And this is why George wrote it this way. You hear about these things, you get to see Daenerys' internal thoughts, and be honest, you've all had naughty thoughts before. I know I've had some evil shit. The difference is we don't act on them. Daenerys has acted on them in the past, but will she continue to do so if she surrounds herself with the right advisors? I don't think she will. You all let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Now, I think we've discussed how Daenerys would come back, and that's again being resurrected by Kinvara and the Red Priest over in R'hllor, or maybe even some sort of weird scientific experiment like what Qyburn did with them. Okay, I'm going down. That's not going to happen. But one of the main reasons I sort of glaze over every time I make one of these videos is why would she come back? What story purpose would it serve if Daenerys were to come back for Game of Thrones season 9, or maybe even a Game of Thrones movie? Now, with House of the Dragon a little over a year away, I don't think we're going to ever get another season of Game of Thrones. I think it's way more likely that we get movies that maybe are just released on the HBO platform, or maybe they'll released in theaters in IMAX or something. But if this were the case, the main reason why I think Daenerys would come back from a story point is to burn Jon Snow. I've said this so many times. I even have a House Stark tattooed on my fucking arm. The House Stark emblem. Jon Snow getting to go north of the Wall is what he's always wanted to do anyway. From episode 1, Jon talks about becoming a ranger. He talks about joining his Uncle Benjen and being able to go to the true north and discovering what's out there. Protecting the realm, protecting the 7 kingdoms. Jon Snow got what he always wanted and murdered Daenerys in cold blood. That is capital murder in front of the Iron Throne. Not only did Jon Snow get saved from the quickest, arguably most painless death by being burned from a dragon. You know, both Jon Snow and Daenerys dying in front of the Iron Throne, the last 2 Targaryens burning and sort of sacrificing each other to break the wheel one last time would have been a lot more poetic, but Jon Snow got the fuck away. Did Torgo Nodu, Grey Worm, did he decide that he wanted to trial by combat Jon Snow? Nope. Did he decide he wanted to murder Jon Snow brutally, just like how he did to his queen? Nope. For some reason, Grey Worm literally had his balls removed in the final episode, and nothing came to Jon Snow. Nothing happened. In my opinion, there should have been a trial by combat, and Grey Worm likely would have died, but at least we would have had some sort of vengeance for the death of Daenerys. Now, you can argue me down below in the comments if you fucking want to, but the people in King's Landing, and this is a TV show. This is not a real world. If it was, obviously I'm not a psychopath, and I think what Daenerys did in real life, if it was real, is terrible, and obviously I would condemn her, but this is a fantasy world. This is tits and dragons. This is magic, baby. And guess what? I am a fucking House Targaryen member. Fire and blood. Fuck the citizens of King's Landing. Fuck them. She gave you bastards multiple times. You think ringing the bell after you've killed literally every single person that could talk her down from the ledge is gonna make her stop burning the city? Well, then you're fucking dumb. You guys in your shit city deserved to be burned, and she warned you multiple times. Y'all could have turned on Cersei. You've done it before. You've burned every single dragon that was in the dragon pit. Citizens of King's Landing have had death looming over their heads for a long time, and Daenerys just sort of helped them out. But to be honest, if we're going to make it a movie, well then obviously the main plot of that would be for Daenerys to come back and just kill Jon Snow. Now what would happen to Bran, Sansa, and the rest of the usurpers in House Stark? Well then they'd all die too. That'd be the entire plot of the movie, would be Daenerys coming back and truly showing everyone what fire and blood means. What I think would be interesting is that if she did come back for this story and she just went to kill Jon Snow, well then maybe the rest of the story could be her going back to the Bay of Dragons and ruling with Daario, who, in my opinion, is her one true love. Now, she obviously turned Daario down, but a very similar thing happened with Jon Snow and Ygritte. Jon Snow was Ygritte's true love, and Daario was Daenerys' true love. They both discovered these partners on their own, and it wasn't sort of a forced situation, which is kind of what it was between Jon and Daenerys. In my opinion, the two of them were never really meant to be together, although we love to see them on screen because they're everybody's favorite characters, but I don't know if they're going to end up together in Winds of Winter or in A Dream of Spring. Mainly because Jon Snow is dead, and I'm not sure if Daenerys is a big fan of zombie peener. But also we have to realize that Daenerys' story is a lot more complex, and there's so many characters, there's just no way that it would end up the way it did on the TV series. Now obviously it's going to be similar, but the journey it takes to get there and have something as symbolic and poetic as Daenerys dying in front of the Iron Throne, being stabbed by Jon Snow, arguably the last Targaryen, if we were to get something as poetic as that in the novels, I'm pretty sure the journey to get there would just simply make a lot more sense. There will be more words that will lead us up to that point of having this gut-wrenching moment that's, you know, taken nearly 3 decades of waiting to find out what happens. It will all just be that much more amazing. Well, alright, this seems like a good point to wrap this video up. If you all want me to make more Daenerys dick riding videos, well, let me know down below in the comment section. Daenerys is not only my favorite character in all of A Song of Ice and Fire, but she's also my favorite character in really any medium. Please, slap a like on this video as the like goal is going to be 420. Also, make sure you're subscribed, and this is the most important part. Make sure every notification's turned on so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a video throughout this long night. Super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/YourHuntsReviews. And if you are watching this video or interested in joining, well, check out the link down below in the description or one of the links that's popped off during this video. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunts Reviews.